The morning sky over Earth changed forever at exactly 8:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in April. The Zolaxian war fleet appeared without warning, their arrival marked only by a brief disturbance in global communication systems. 57 massive ships, each shaped like jagged metallic diamonds with edges that seemed to cut the very fabric of space, positioned themselves strategically over Earth's major cities. Their dark shadows fell across New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and 30 other population centers, turning day into an eerie twilight. Commander Vexthor of the Zolaxian Empire stood tall on the command bridge of his flagship, the Decimator. His scaled skin shimmered with a greenish-purple hue under the ship's lights as he scowled at the blue planet displayed on the main view screen. 6 arms crossed over his armored chest plate, each limb ending in razor-sharp claws that clicked impatiently against his armor. "Magnify Sector 7, he ordered, his voice a rumbling growl that needed no translation for his crew to understand. The screen zoomed in on North America. These humans, fascinating and dangerous creatures. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander, Kraz, approached with a data tablet. "The Council was right to be concerned, Commander. Our scans confirm everything our deep space monitoring suggested." Vexthor nodded slowly, his 4 eyes narrowing. "These humans have been designated as a Class 5 threat species by our intelligence division," he announced to the bridge officers who had gathered around him. "They survived 3 global wars, countless plagues, and managed to reach their moon, with primitive technology. They must be subjugated immediately before they spread beyond their system." "Sir," one of the tactical officers called out, "our sensors detect they are mobilizing their military forces." Vexthor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Let them try. Prepare the first message. It is time to introduce ourselves." Meanwhile, in Denver, Colorado, the day had started normally for Lisa Miller. The spring air was cool but pleasant as she walked her golden retriever puppy, Charlie, through Washington Park. The 6-month-old dog pulled excitedly on his leash, his golden fur catching the morning sunlight as he sniffed at every tree, bench, and patch of grass they passed. "Easy there, buddy," Lisa said with a smile, tugging gently on the leash. "We've got all morning." At 32 years old, Lisa enjoyed these peaceful moments. Her short brown hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her athletic build spoke of someone who took physical fitness seriously. The joggers and other dog walkers who passed by had no idea she was a lieutenant in the United States Space Force's newly formed Extraterrestrial Response Division. The division had been created just 2 years ago, after strange signals had been detected coming from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Most people thought it was a waste of government money. Lisa knew better. The signals had stopped as suddenly as they had started, but not before Earth's best scientists had determined they were artificial. Someone or something was out there. She was just bending down to give Charlie a treat for sitting nicely when the sky darkened unexpectedly. Looking up, Lisa saw what she first thought was an unusual cloud formation. But clouds didn't have perfectly geometric shapes with metallic surfaces that reflected sunlight in strange patterns. All around the park, people stopped what they were doing and stared upward. Some pointed, others took out their phones to capture images. A few immediately started walking quickly toward their cars, an instinctive flight response kicking in. Lisa felt her heart rate double. This was not a drill. This was not a test. This was what her division had been created for. Her communicator buzzed urgently against her wrist. The small device looked like an ordinary smartwatch to civilians, but it was connected directly to USSF headquarters. The message on the screen was clear. "First contact protocol activated. All personnel report immediately." Below that was a secondary message just for her. "Lieutenant Miller, report to Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Priority Alpha." Lisa looked down at Charlie's eager face and wagging tail. The puppy seemed oblivious to the massive change that had just occurred in human history. "Sorry, buddy, walkies are over," she sighed, already calculating the fastest route to the underground military facility. "Looks like we've got aliens." The drive to Cheyenne Mountain took Lisa just under an hour, breaking several speed limits along the way. Charlie sat in his carrier in the passenger seat, occasionally whining as if sensing his owner's tension. Military police waved her through multiple checkpoints without the usual security procedures. Everyone was moving with urgent purpose. 200 feet under the mountain, Lisa found herself in a situation room she had only seen in training videos. General Alan Peters stood in the center, surrounded by screens showing news feeds from around the world. Military personnel rushed back and forth, carrying reports and speaking in hushed, tense voices. The general was a tall man with a completely bald head and the kind of face that seemed permanently set in a serious expression. He had served in 3 conflicts before being assigned to head the Extraterrestrial Response Division, a position many of his colleagues had considered a career dead end. Now he was possibly the most important military figure on the planet. "Lieutenant Miller," he acknowledged her with a nod. "Glad you made it." "What's the situation, sir?" Lisa asked, still holding Charlie's carrier. She had no time to drop him off anywhere, and the security guards had been too busy to stop her from bringing him in. General Peters gestured to the main screen where a message was displayed in several languages. "The Zolaxians, that's what they call themselves, sent this 30 minutes ago. It's been broadcast on all frequencies globally." Lisa read the message, a cold feeling spreading in her stomach. "People of Earth, your planet is now under the protection of the Zolaxian Empire. Resistance is unnecessary and will result in immediate disciplinary action. Prepare your leaders for instructions." "Protection?" Lisa said. "That's what they're calling it?" "Classic colonizer language," said a woman to her right. Lisa turned to see Dr. Gina Ward, the division's lead xenopsychologist. "They're positioning themselves as benevolent overlords rather than invaders." General Peters nodded grimly. "They've sent a second private message to major world governments. The Zolaxians demand Earth's surrender to become a vassal state of their empire, or face extinction. They've requested a face-to-face meeting to discuss terms. And they specifically asked for military personnel only," Dr. Ward added. "No politicians, no diplomats." A map appeared on the screen showing a location in Wyoming. "The meeting is set for tomorrow morning," General Peters continued. "Lieutenant Miller, you've got the most advanced xenolinguistic training of anyone available in North America. Your name came up in the emergency selection protocol." Lisa swallowed hard. She had trained for years for a first contact scenario, but the reality was far more terrifying than any simulation. "You want me to meet with them, sir?" "Not want, Lieutenant. Need." The general's voice softened slightly. "You've studied theoretical alien communication patterns more than anyone else in this room. If there's any chance of understanding their true intentions, you're our best shot." Lisa nodded, her thoughts turning to Charlie, who was currently sitting in his carrier at her feet, looking around the busy room with curious eyes. "Sir, I understand, but what about my dog? I had no time to take him home." The general glanced down at the puppy, who tilted his head curiously and gave a small, friendly bark. Something changed in the older man's stern expression. "Bring him," General Peters said, surprising everyone in the room. "Maybe it'll humanize us a bit. God knows we need every advantage we can get." Morning arrived with a sky that looked almost normal, except for the massive alien ship hovering above the meeting site. Overnight, military engineers had worked non-stop to construct a dome-shaped structure in the middle of Wyoming's open plains. The location had been chosen by the Zolaxians, far from major population centers but still accessible by ground transport. Lisa stared out the window of the military helicopter as they approached the site. The dome gleamed under the morning sun, a white half-sphere surrounded by a perimeter of hastily erected fencing. Military vehicles formed a protective ring around the structure, though everyone knew they would provide little defense if the aliens decided to attack. "How are you holding up, Lieutenant?" General Peters asked from the seat across from her. "Nervous but ready, sir," Lisa replied honestly. She checked the special tactical backpack she had modified to carry Charlie. The puppy was currently sleeping, inside, tired from the early morning wake-up and the helicopter ride. "I just hope Charlie behaves himself. Just remember your training," the general said. "First contact protocols. Be respectful but firm. Don't make promises you can't keep and don't show fear." Lisa nodded. Also seated in the helicopter were Major Frank Harris, a weapons specialist, Captain Ben Cooper, a communications expert, and Dr. Eva Martinez, who despite being a civilian scientist had been granted special permission to join due to her expertise in exobiology. All had been briefed extensively during the night, reviewing what little they knew about the Zolaxians. The helicopter landed with a gentle bump about 100 yards from the dome. As they disembarked, Lisa felt the weight of the moment. History books would write about this day one way or another. "They're already here," Major Harris noted, pointing to a sleek metallic craft parked on the opposite side of the dome. It had no visible windows or doors, just a seamless silver surface that reflected the surroundings like a mirror. General Peters checked his watch. "Right on time. Let's not keep them waiting." The dome's interior was sparse, a single round table with chairs on opposite sides, bright lights overhead, and temperature controls that kept the space comfortably cool. Lisa adjusted her backpack, making sure Charlie had enough air through the mesh panel she had installed. The puppy was awake now but remained quiet, perhaps sensing the importance of the situation. They had just taken their positions at the table when a section of the dome's wall seemed to dissolve, creating a new entrance. Through this opening strode the Zolaxian delegation. Lisa had seen images captured by satellites and news cameras, but nothing prepared her for the actual presence of the aliens. Commander Vexthor led the group, standing nearly 8 feet tall with iridescent scaled skin that shifted colors slightly as he moved. 4 arms emerged from his torso, while his head featured 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Behind him came 4 warrior guards, each equipped with what appeared to be advanced armor and weapons attached to their bodies. The aliens moved with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for their size. Their feet made no sound on the floor, and Lisa wondered if they might be partially levitating. "The human delegation," Vexthor said, his voice processed through a small device at his throat that translated his natural speech, a series of clicks, hisses, and low rumbles, into English. "We meet at last." General Peters stood. "Commander Vexthor, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I am General Alan Peters of the United States Space Force. With me are Lieutenant Lisa Miller, Major Frank Harris, Captain Ben Cooper, and Dr. Eva Martinez." Vexthor made a gesture that might have been their equivalent of a nod. "I do not need to know all your designations. You are here to receive terms, not to negotiate." The general's face remained neutral, though Lisa could see the tension in his jaw. "We are here to establish peaceful communication between our peoples, humans," Vexthor began, settling his massive frame into a standing position across the table, apparently uninterested in the chairs provided. "Your species has been a subject of much debate in our empire. Some believe you should be eradicated entirely, while others think you may make useful servants." The bluntness of the statement sent a chill through the room. Dr. Martinez visibly paled, while Major Harris's hand drifted closer to his sidearm. General Peters maintained a stoic expression. "We're not interested in either option, Commander. Earth is our home and we'll defend it." Vexthor laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping against stone. "With what? Our scans show your weapons are primitive at best. Your most advanced missiles would barely scratch our hull plating. Your nuclear devices could be neutralized before detonation." "Perhaps," the general acknowledged, "but technological superiority doesn't guarantee victory. Earth's history is full of advanced civilizations that fell to supposedly primitive opponents." Lisa watched the exchange carefully, studying the alien's body language. The translator conveyed words, but she was trained to look for nonverbal cues. The way Vexthor's upper left arm twitched slightly whenever the general spoke suggested either irritation or anxiety. "Your history will soon be irrelevant," Vexthor declared. "The Zolaxian Empire spans 27 star systems. We have encountered and subjugated 12 other sentient species. Some resisted. They no longer exist." As tensions in the room rose, Charlie began to squirm in Lisa's backpack, uncomfortable with the strange smells and sounds. Despite her attempts to keep him still, the puppy managed to poke his head out through the top opening, his golden fur catching the light. Seeing all the new people, Charlie gave an excited little yip of greeting. The reaction from the Zolaxians was immediate and shocking. All 5 aliens recoiled dramatically, with 2 warrior guards actually drawing weapons, devices that extended from their forearm armor with a high-pitched whine. "You brought a beast to these negotiations?" Vexthor hissed, taking 3 steps backward. His scales flashed rapidly between colors, and all 4 of his eyes widened. For the first time, his translator conveyed emotion, genuine fear. "Is this some kind of threat display?" Lisa blinked in confusion, instinctively pulling Charlie fully out of the backpack and holding him protectively. This is just Charlie. He's a puppy, a baby dog." "A dog?" Vexthor's voice changed as he seemed to access some information through a small device attached to the side of his head, possibly a neural interface or database. His eyes widened even further. "The legendary Earth predator? The creature that humans domesticated despite its ferocious nature?" Lisa and the other humans exchanged bewildered glances as Charlie wagged his tail and panted happily, completely oblivious to the dramatic reaction he had caused. The puppy tried to wiggle out of Lisa's arms, apparently eager to greet the new and interesting visitors. "Please control that creature," Vexthor demanded, his earlier confidence now replaced with obvious caution. "Our records indicate these beasts are capable of tracking prey for days and can detect substances in concentrations as low as 1 part per trillion." General Peters, recovering quickly from his surprise, leaned forward slightly. "Commander, I can assure you that Charlie is completely harmless. He's a pet, a companion." "You keep predators as companions?" One of the warrior guards spoke for the first time, the translator rendering the words in a slightly different accent. "Willingly?" "Yes," Lisa said, scratching behind Charlie's ears to calm him. "Humans and dogs have lived together for thousands of years. They help us, and we help them." The Zolaxians conferred among themselves in their native language, a rapid exchange of clicks and hisses. Lisa wished she could understand what they were saying. The shift in the power dynamic was palpable. Somehow, a 6-month-old golden retriever had completely changed the tone of humanity's first official contact with an alien species. The Zolaxian flagship Decimator hung in Earth's orbit like a massive metal thorn. Inside, the ship hummed with activity as crew members rushed through corridors, analyzing data and preparing defensive systems. News of the meeting on Earth's surface had spread quickly among the ranks. Commander Vexthor strode into the main strategy chamber, his scales still flickering with agitation. The room fell silent as he entered. 12 high-ranking Zolaxian officers stood around a large, circular table that displayed a holographic image of Earth slowly rotating in the center. "Our intelligence was incomplete," Vexthor stated gravely, placing all 4 of his hands on the edge of the table. "The humans have not merely developed advanced technology, they have tamed the most fearsome creatures of their world and keep them as companions." Several officers exchanged concerned glances. Sub-Commander Kraz stepped forward. "Commander, surely one small animal doesn't change our assessment of human capabilities." Vexthor's upper eyes narrowed. "It changes everything." "Chief Intelligence Officer Zix, display your findings." Zix, a slightly smaller Zolaxian with scales tinted more blue than the others, touched a control panel on his wrist device. The hologram of Earth disappeared, replaced by images of various dog breeds pulled from Earth's internet. "These dogs have served humans for thousands of years," Zix explained, his voice carrying the precise tone of a scientist. "The relationship began approximately 15,000 Earth years ago, when humans were still primitive hunter-gatherers." The hologram shifted to show ancient cave paintings depicting humans hunting alongside wolves. The ancestors of these dogs were apex predators called wolves. Instead of competing with these creatures, humans formed alliances with them. "But why would the wolves agree to this?" asked a female officer near the back of the room. "That's what makes this so remarkable," Zix continued. "Over generations, humans selectively bred these animals, changing their physical and behavioral traits to create specialized companions." The hologram displayed a rapid sequence of different dog breeds, from tiny Chihuahuas to massive Great Danes, sleek greyhounds to sturdy bulldogs. Some were bred to hunt, Zix explained as images of hunting dogs appeared. Others to guard territory. The display showed dogs protecting homes and livestock, some to find lost humans, detect illness, or even assist those with disabilities. Commander Vexthor watched the presentation with all four eyes fixed intently on the images. And what capabilities do these creatures possess? Zix touched another control, bringing up a detailed biological analysis. Their sense of smell is approximately 40 times more powerful than a human's. Some breeds can detect specific scents in parts per trillion, enough to locate substances buried underground or underwater. The officers murmured among themselves. As Zix continued, they can hear frequencies we cannot detect. Some breeds can survive extreme cold. Others can run for hours without tiring. They can be trained to detect illness in humans before symptoms appear, find humans buried under collapsed buildings, or track targets across any terrain. And the humans control these abilities? Asked Kraz. More than control, Zix replied. Humans refer to these creatures as best friends. They willingly share their dwellings with them, create special foods for them, and even celebrate their births as they would their own offspring. Commander Vexthor turned to face his officers. Think about what this means. A species that can take a predator and through patience and intelligence turn it into a loyal ally that would die to protect them. What does that tell you about humans? The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It tells me, said Kraz slowly, that perhaps our initial assessment of them was insufficient. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Lisa sat in a secure conference room at Cheyenne Mountain Complex. The first contact meeting had ended abruptly after the Zalaxians' reaction to Charlie. The aliens had requested a 12-hour recess to reassess certain strategic considerations, as Commander Vexthor had put it. Charlie now lay sleeping under the conference table, worn out from all the excitement. Around the table sat General Peters, Dr. Martinez, and three new faces, Dr. Kate Bell, the team's xenobiologist, Colonel Jack Rivera, head of strategic operations, and Professor William Kim, a civilian expert on animal domestication who had been flown in from Seattle after the strange alien reaction. It doesn't make any sense, said Dr. Bell, reviewing the footage of the meeting for the 5th time. She paused the video on a clear shot of Commander Vexthor's reaction to Charlie. Their physical capabilities suggest they evolved as apex predators on their home world. Why would they fear a golden retriever puppy? Fear isn't quite the right word, Professor Kim suggested, adjusting his glasses. Their body language showed surprise and caution, but also fascination. It wasn't pure terror. Lisa scratched Charlie gently with her foot as she thought. Maybe it's not fear of the dog itself, she suggested. Maybe it's what the dog represents, that humans can form bonds with other species, that we can turn wild animals into allies. Dr. Martinez nodded enthusiastically. That makes perfect sense. In their hierarchy-obsessed culture, the ability to command other species would be seen as immensely powerful. And not just command, added Professor Kim. We don't simply control dogs, we've formed a mutual partnership that has evolved over thousands of years. Dogs have helped shape human civilization as much as we've shaped them. General Peters, who had been quietly listening, leaned forward. So you're saying they might be rethinking their invasion plans because we have pets? Not just pets, Lisa explained, warming to the idea. Dogs have been working alongside humans throughout history. They've helped us hunt, protected our homes, pulled our sleds through frozen landscapes, found missing people, detected drugs and explosives, guided the blind. And given how long dogs have been domesticated, interrupted Dr. Bell, they might believe we have some special ability to control or communicate with other life forms, something beyond their own capabilities. The general nodded slowly, a thoughtful expression crossing his normally stern face. Lieutenant Miller, I think we just found our advantage. Colonel Rivera, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. Sir, with all due respect, are we really pinning the survival of Earth on the aliens being afraid of dogs? Not afraid, corrected Lisa. Impressed, maybe even envious. Think about it. These aliens arrived ready to conquer us because they believed they were superior. But they've just discovered humans can do something they can't, form deep bonds with another species. And not just any species, added Professor Kim. One with incredible sensory abilities that complement our own limitations. From their perspective, it probably looks like we've engineered the perfect biological surveillance system. General Peters stood up. Dr. Bell, I want a complete presentation prepared on the history of dog domestication and working dogs throughout human civilization. Professor Kim, help her with that. Colonel Rivera, contact all K9 units within a 100-mile radius, police, military, search and rescue, therapy dogs, everything. What are you planning, sir? Lisa asked, though she was beginning to guess. The general's lips curved into a rare smile. If they think our relationship with dogs makes us special, let's show them just how special it is. Lieutenant Miller, you and Charlie are going to help save the world. Back on the decimator, Commander Vexthor stood alone in his private chamber, watching Earth through a viewport. The blue planet looked deceptively peaceful from this distance. The commander's thoughts, however, were far from peaceful. He accessed his neural interface, bringing up an image captured during the meeting. The small golden creature the humans called Charlie. Such a harmless-looking thing, yet it represented something the Zolaxian Empire had never encountered in all its conquests. Vexthor had ordered deep scans of Earth's information networks, and the results were troubling. The human relationship with dogs was just the beginning. They kept other animals too. Cats, birds, even reptiles. They formed attachments to non-sentient creatures in ways that seemed to transcend mere utility. Commander? Kraz's voice came through the communication system. The Council is requesting an update on the subjugation timeline. Vexthor continued staring at the planet. Tell them we are reassessing. The humans have demonstrated unexpected adaptability. We require more information before proceeding. After Kraz signed off, Vexthor remained at the viewport, lost in thought. In all the Empire's history of conquest, they had never needed to reassess their approach based on something as simple as a small, furry companion animal. Yet here they were. Perhaps these humans had something to teach the mighty Zolaxian Empire after all. The Wyoming sky dawned clear and blue on the day that might determine Earth's fate. The negotiation dome stood in the same spot, but the area around it had changed dramatically overnight. Military trucks and temporary structures dotted the landscape. Soldiers moved with purpose, carrying equipment and setting up perimeters. The activity wasn't meant to be threatening, but rather to prepare for what General Peters had called Operation Good Boy. Lisa stood next to a large transport truck, Charlie sitting obediently at her feet. She wore her formal uniform with all decorations, as did the 30 handlers from various military and police canine units who stood nearby with their dogs. The collection of canines was impressive. German shepherds with alert ears and focused eyes, Belgian Malinois with their lean, athletic builds, Labrador retrievers with friendly expressions, and even a few smaller breeds used for therapy work. Dr. Kate Bell approached, carrying a tablet with the presentation they had worked on until late last night. Are you ready for this, Lieutenant? The General is putting a lot of faith in your ability to read the aliens. Lisa nodded, trying to project more confidence than she felt. I've been studying the footage of our first meeting nonstop. There's definitely something about dogs that shook their worldview. We just need to lean into that. General Peters emerged from the command tent, followed by Colonel Rivera and several other high-ranking officers. The Zolaxian shuttle is approaching, he announced. Everyone to your positions. Remember, this isn't a military display. It's a cultural exchange. Let's show them what humanity's oldest friendship looks like. The handlers lined up in formation, their dogs sitting perfectly at attention beside them. Lisa took her position, at the front with Charlie, who seemed to sense the importance of the moment and sat straighter than usual. A low hum filled the air as the Zolaxian shuttle approached, a sleek craft that seemed to absorb rather than reflect sunlight. It landed softly about 50 yards from the human delegation, its sides shimmering slightly before a doorway appeared. Commander Vexthor emerged first, followed by Sub-Commander Kraz and 3 other Zolaxians, different ones than at the previous meeting. Lisa noted this change with interest. Instead of warrior guards, these appeared to be scientific personnel, based on their lighter armor and the various devices they carried. When the Zalaxian delegation saw the assembled canines, they froze in, unified horror. The scientists immediately began scanning with their devices, while Kraz moved slightly closer to Vexthor in a protective stance. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded Vexthor, though his usual confidence was clearly shaken. His scales flickered between colors rapidly, betraying his agitation. General Peters stepped forward, hands clearly visible and empty in a gesture of peace. "Commander Vexthor, you seemed interested in our companions, so we thought you might like to meet more of them. These are some of Earth's finest service animals." "Service? They serve you willingly?" Vexthor's translator couldn't quite convey his disbelief, but his body language, all four arms slightly extended with palms facing outward, spoke volumes. Lisa nodded, Charlie now sitting obediently at her feet. "For thousands of years, Commander, we've evolved together." She gave a hand signal and Charlie performed a series of simple tricks, sitting, offering his paw, lying down, and rolling over. The Zalaxians watched in what could only be described as religious awe. One of the scientists was recording everything, the device in its hand emitting soft beeps. "The small one responds to nonverbal commands," noted the scientist in a high-pitched voice. "Remarkable neural synchronization." Lisa smiled. "That's just the beginning. Would you like to see what our more highly trained companions can do?" Vexthor's hesitant nod, General Peters signaled the handlers. In perfect unison, the military dogs demonstrated their abilities, finding hidden objects by scent, navigating obstacle courses, responding to complex commands given in whispers or hand signals. And these larger ones, Vexthor gestured nervously, to the German shepherds, "They are for combat?" "They can be," General Peters admitted. "Our canine warriors have served alongside human soldiers for centuries, but that's not their only purpose, or even their most important one." He nodded to a handler who stepped forward with a gentle-looking Labrador named Max. "This is what we call a therapy dog. His job is to provide comfort and emotional support to humans who are suffering, the sick, the injured, those who have experienced trauma." "Emotional support," Kraz repeated, the translator making the words sound almost comical. "You use predators for feelings." Dr. Bell stepped forward. "Humans and dogs have a special connection. When we pet dogs, chemicals are released in our brains that reduce stress and increase feelings of happiness and well-being. Similarly, when dogs interact with humans they love, their bodies produce the same chemicals." "Love?" One of the alien scientists made a sound like gas escaping from a valve. "You claim these creatures experience complex emotions? Why don't you see for yourself?" Lisa suggested gently. She gestured toward Max, who sat calmly nearby. "He's specially trained to be comfortable with everyone. You can pet him like this," she demonstrated, running her hand gently over Max's head and down his back. The dog's tail wagged happily and he looked up with soft brown eyes. After several tense moments, Vexthor stepped forward. His crew members chittered anxiously but didn't try to stop him. The alien commander extended a trembling clawed hand toward Max. The dog, true to his training, remained perfectly calm as the strange-smelling being approached. When Vexthor's scaled fingers touched Max's fur, something remarkable happened. The alien commander went completely still, all four eyes widening in surprise. "So soft," he murmured, the translator catching the wonder in his voice. "Yet your data networks are filled with tales of their ancestors bringing down large prey, surviving in harsh conditions." "That's the thing about Earth, Commander," Lisa said, seeing an opportunity to drive home their point. "Survival here isn't just about domination or subjugation, it's about cooperation, adaptation, forming bonds." Max, sensing something important was happening, leaned gently against Vexthor's leg. A typical therapy dog move meant to provide comfort. The alien commander looked down in surprise but didn't pull away. "Lieutenant Miller speaks the truth," added General Peters, "and dogs are just one of many species we've formed relationships with. On Earth, the strongest don't always survive alone. Often it's those who form the most beneficial connections with others. Vexthor continued petting Max, his movements becoming more confident. In all our conquests across 27 star systems, we have never encountered a species that forms such bonds with other creatures. How did this begin? Professor Kim stepped forward. About 15,000 years ago, when humans were still hunter-gatherers, we began to notice that wolves, the ancestors of dogs, were drawn to our camps. Instead of driving them away, some humans began sharing food with them. Those wolves, that were less afraid and more friendly toward humans, received more food, Dr. Bell continued. Over generations, they began to change, not just physically but behaviorally. They became more attuned to human emotions and signals. And humans changed too, Lisa added. We learned to understand their body language, to work alongside them as partners rather than masters. Vexthor turned to his scientific team, who were still busily scanning and recording. Is this true? Can simple sharing of resources lead to such profound evolutionary changes? The lead scientist made a gesture that seemed like affirmation. Our preliminary analysis suggests the canine brain has indeed adapted specifically to interpret human signals. It is unlike anything we have documented before. Commander Vexthor straightened to his full height, all four arms relaxed at his sides now, a posture Lisa recognized from their cultural briefings as indicating deep thought rather than tension. Perhaps, he said slowly, instead of conquest, we could discuss cultural exchange. Your species clearly has much to teach us about forms of advancement we had not considered. General Peters stepped forward, offering his hand in the human gesture of agreement. I believe that would be in everyone's best interest, Commander. Perhaps we could start with a small delegation of your scientists studying our animal companions, and some of our experts learning about your technology. Fair exchange, Vexthor agreed, awkwardly mimicking the handshake with his upper right arm.